Come back now. Of course, over the past few weeks and months, and there's been a lot of talk about the judiciary in terms of is the Supreme Court valid? We know there's a proposal by LSK wanting to scrap off the Supreme Court altogether. Schools have been closed in terms of the Moi University School of Law being shut down as well. So what is ailing the judiciary, as it were? And also questions have been raised about some of their judgments. To put these matters into perspective, we have Ahmednasir Abdullahi, who is a lawyer, as well as Barak Luka, a political analyst. They'll be joining Mutegi Njau. In other words, we have the Grand Mullah meeting the Oracle. And they're joined by Mutegi Njau. If you have the questions, comments, and views, send them on 22422. Ask your questions and share your comments and views with us. Mutegi Njau will be able to ask the two gentlemen the same. And on Twitter, the hashtag to use is Power Breakfast. Mutegi,
welcome.
Thank you very much.
You haven't been here for some time.
Yes, you haven't invited me.
So what is happening there in the judiciary? What is this that judges of the Supreme Court can go on strike or go slow? It is very unprecedented.
No, I think Kenyans are a little bit exaggerating. I mean, the courts are working, the judiciary is not ailing, the judiciary is in a good state of health. They are very robust, they are doing a good job. But there are issues, you know, that like any institutions that has arisen, and I think they've been handled in all fairness in a proper manner. The main thing now is the retirement of judges, whether judges should retire at 74 or 70. That matter is in court. A 5-judge bench will listen to it on Monday, this coming Monday, and I think they will give a judgment in 15 days. So things are not as bad as Kenyans think it is, or some people are painting it.
But the same Supreme Court judges who are affected by the matter, they'd make a ruling, which is being quoted here in this document from the Law Society. And they are saying, if I might quote, what did they say? They are saying that the judges made the question of retirement of judges was not an issue for determination. That petition, that is a petition of parliamentary, no, Senate.
Yes.
It is wrong, irregular, and in bad faith for the judges to have decided to constitute an issue for determination based on a letter written by an advocate.
Yes, I think that's correct, and I think people were shocked that, you know, the judge of the Supreme Court could do that. It was very bad judgment, very poor judgment on their part. The issue of retirement was not before the court, it's before another court. And if you read the dissent of the Chief Justice, that captured the proper law. And I think the matter is even worse because two of the judges who have written the majority judgment have cases pending in court on that same issue. So it was a very, very poor judgment on their part, and they shouldn't have done that. But I think
since they're in the Supreme Court, what do we do for that now?
No,
where else can we go?
No, it's actually, it's not a judgment. It's called an obiter, you know, something they say on the side.
Yes.
You know, like whispering, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not part of the judgment, because the judgment was whether, you know, Isaac Salat should have a second bite at the cherry or not. That they have brought in their own, you know, personal matter into the case, as I said, was very poor. But it's not part of the judgment. It's an obiter. It's not binding on anybody. It's not binding on the JSC. It's not binding on, it's not law. It is just an expression they made on the site.
And which suggests, I think, that all is not well in the judiciary, contrary to what you are saying, because here are parties with access to grind. In fact, they are axe grinders. And there they are, in fact, for casting something that is coming, and they have very clear interests.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I said it's a very poor decision on the part of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Since they have an interest in this matter, since two of them already have a case in the High Court, they should have, you know, they should have exercised better judgment, not to comment on that issue. But I think we need to put perspective. I mean, it's only few judges actually who are troubled by this 74-year-old retirement. The judiciary or the judges basically are happy to retire at 70, and I think many will retire at 70. Because I think most of them realize that when you are 70, really, you are past your prime and you are on your sunset.
Yes. But apart from that, The CEO of the Law Society of Kenya has petitioned that those judges who boycotted sittings, and said which was the cause for the writing of that letter, they should be removed.
No, you see, I disagree. You know, every time a judge expresses an opinion or comments about something, you can't remove him. And I mean, it's not fair to the court, it's not fair to the country, and it's not even necessary. I mean, these judges did not go on a strike. They just
what they do.
What they did is that they wrote a letter to the JSC,
yes,
protesting about certain decisions made by the JSC. I mean, the JSC was entitled to make that decision. It was the proper decision in my view. But also the judges are entitled to express their views. But they did not really go on a strike like the teachers, my clients, have been. What they have done is they said, we want this issue to be addressed. And even the fact that they delivered the judgment in Nick Salat's case clearly showed that they are not on strike. But the point is, it is not proper that every time there is an issue in the Supreme Court or in a court, that someone should petition the JSC for the removal of the judge. I mean, the removal of a judge is a very serious, weighty matter, and I think it should be exercised very prudently and under exceptional circumstances.
I agree, Senior, with my good friend Dable, as we call him. But the impression one gets is that there are three judges who are actually paralyzing the Supreme Court when they purport to be on a go-slow. We know that there is the quorum. The quorum should be 5 judges.
Yes,
and if you have 3 judges out of 7 doing a go-slow, then I think there's a fundamental problem here. Although, of course, I agree that the solution is not as the LSK has suggested, that we even do away with the Supreme Court. But I think we must accept.
No, I agree. I agree. There's a problem. There's no doubt. You see, the Supreme Court has 7 judges. One of them, Justice Tenoyo, should have retired ages ago. But he went to court, got some orders, Now the issue that arises is that the mere fact that you have an order when you are past the retirement age, does it entitle you to sit in the court?
Yes.
And the JSC formed the opinion that no, it does not. Because, it will create problems. So that's one issue. The second one is that Deputy Chief Justice, she is supposed to retire in January. She is entitled to sit until that, but the JSC has sent her on terminal leave, but she has gone to court also. So there are 2 court cases, but the other 5 judges really have no problem. Although they can sit anytime. There is still a quorum. Rawal can still sit until January, but the JSC has started the process of replacing them. And the DCJ, they advertised, people applied. They were supposed to interview, but the court said, no, stop that process. Let us hear her case. It will be heard on Monday. And I think the court said by 15th of November, they will issue a judgment. If the court issues a judgment, for example, to say that the judges will retire at 74, that's the end of the case. If the court says that, no, they should retire at 70, that will be the end of the case. So by November, this issue will be settled.
To the end. Can't they go to the Supreme Court or to a higher court?
No, I don't. My view is that you can't go. My view is that on matters of constitutional law, the High Court is the final authority, the first and final authority. And there are some issues you can go to the Supreme Court, but this one I think will end in the High Court. And the High Court, I think, 5 judges will finally conclusively determine this matter.
I think you obviously have superior authority.
Inside knowledge.
Yes, yeah, even that. Huh? But let's look at it this way, that there are judges who are appointed on the old constitution and who have not, for example, moved to the Supreme Court. And the old constitution provided for 74 years, and I do recognize that some of the issues could be sub judice. But let's just look at that, and then look at the 6th schedule of the constitution, and specifically section 31, which talks about existing offices. Isn't it true that we need to separate between those who are appointed on the old constitution and those who are appointed on the current constitution.
Yes, you know that issue is coming up on Monday. I don't want to argue my case here because I will be arguing the case for the JSC on Monday before a 5-judge bench.
You'll be arguing?
Yes. Okay. But I think there's nothing wrong with explaining this to Kenyans. The 6th schedule is called the transitional clause. It is a temporary arrangement. Its lifespan, all the provisions in that 6th schedule have a lifespan, or what's called a sunset clause. Some of them are for a day, some for them are a week, some are a month, some are 6 months. Actually, I think now the 6th schedule is no longer part of the constitution. It has expired because the 6th schedule is a transitional clause. It's supposed to transit the law and some people from the old constitution to the new constitution. One is it's a bridge between the old and the new. One is people pass that bridge, it breaks down, it's over. So the judiciary was managed under the old constitution. On the effective date when we promulgated the constitution, they crossed this bridge using the transitional clause to the new constitution. So section 31, my good friend refers to, says that on the effective date, if you are a judge in the old constitution, you will become a judge in the new constitution. And your rights, duties, powers, tenure will now be regulated by the new constitution.
No. It says, it says it remains for the unexpired period.
Under the new constitution, that's the word. Under the new constitution, not under the old constitution. Because the constitution says that the old constitution has been repealed completely. From section 1 to the last section is repealed. It can no longer exist.
I don't think so, because I think the people whose termination is very clear are the Chief Justice and the Attorney General. The Chief Justice, who is given 6 months, and the Attorney General, who is given 12 months. And then the rest, they say, under the same arrangement as they were appointed under the old constitution. And therefore, again, as a layman, I would imagine that this means that if you are getting appointed as a judge after the new constitution has begun subsisting, then it's very clear Article 167 applies, that you'll be there.
But you know, even Kenyans should also know that all the judges who have gone to court to contest the retirement are not judges that are contesting that their rights is provided for under the old constitution. These are judges who have been recruited under the new constitution.
That one I agree with you.
For example, some of them were judges of the High Court. We recruited them when I was a member of the JC to the Court of Appeal under the new constitution. Then we made her, for example, the Deputy CJ. And Justice Tanoy also, same applies, because he was a judge of the Court of Appeal. We recruited him under the new constitution. So, but that
in any case, there was no Supreme Court. There
was no Supreme Court.
I agree with you.
Yes. So, but these are matters that should not worry Kenyans. There is no crisis in the constitution, in the judiciary. The judiciary will address this through the systems, and I think it will be resolved in a very proper and amicable manner.
What about those judges who decided to empathize or sympathize and then make the Supreme Court dysfunctional?
No, the Supreme Court is functional. I mean, if you look at the November diary, all the cases have been listed for hearing. I mean, it's fully functional. But you can't stop, a judge from sympathizing with his colleagues when he's retiring at a personal level. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's affecting the performance of the Supreme Court.
No. If they strike, for example, and say that we will not be sitting in court, that's an issue that will attract, constitutionally disciplinary process. But I don't think they have reached that stage. I think what they are saying is that they are expressing some sympathetic view at a personal level. In a
threatening manner. I think we have to wait for November to see whether they will call the bluff.
No, if they refuse to sit in court, that's another matter, which I don't think they have, and I don't think they are that unwise to do. If they refuse to sit in court, then the JC will take action.
But they were saying those opinions, that side opinion, they said the JSC has no business determining how judges work.
No, that's wrong. They know better than that.
That's what they say.
Yes. But the judiciary, every judge in this country knows the work of the JSC. When you are applying for a job, it's the JSC that interviews you. When it is happy with you, it gives you letter of employment. When it's not happy, it starts the process of you have been fired. So judges can make this noise they make that the JSC is not very powerful, but they know it's the top dog in the judiciary.
Agreed.
Yes.
The other issue that is of contention, and which is also in court, is the running of university law schools. Why is this a matter? My university has been running a law school for years.
You know, I mean, university education, not in the law schools. University education is in a crisis. The universities, you know, have become like, you know, banks. I mean, some universities have more branch than Barclays Bank or KCB. You know, they're open.
Yeah.
This minister, what's his name? I mean, Kemenyi has no idea about how to run a university education ministry.
There is a Professor Some.
No, he's even worse than the minister. You know, these are people who don't know how to run institutions of higher education. The university.
Professor Some, with all due respect, Professor Some was a deputy vice chancellor of Moi University for years.
Those are kind of professors, you know.
I would not call him a professor.
The point I'm making is that they lack the dynamics. They lack the idea on how to run university education in the 21st century. For example, if you look at the University of Nairobi, even the Faculty of Law, how many professors do they have? How many senior lecturers do they have? How many associate professors have? What is the ratio of the students and the teachers? What is the facilities? You know, because of this parallel program now, everybody is opening a university. Kitale branch, Homa Bay branch, Garissa branch, Isiolo branch. I mean, you can't run universities like shops. So, before we go to the higher education, before we go to the faculty of law, we need to address this throughout the universities. But you know, the faculty of law, because law, people see it as very lucrative. Every university wants to open a law faculty when they don't have the facilities, when they don't have enough lecturers. And Moi University was, you know, you can see it's an apathetic situation because there are no lecturers, there's nobody to teach, they have no library, and that's why, you know, the people who are entrusted with legal education closed it. And I think there are even many others they have recommended for closure because they just don't have enough lecturers to teach them. So this is something the government needs to address within the broader higher education system. I mean, look at now universities. Universities buy the largest number of high-rise buildings in Nairobi.
Not just in Nairobi, virtually across the country, and I couldn't agree with you more. But fundamentally, we need a longer-lasting solution. You see, the way we have addressed Moi University is a piecemeal. But it's kind of...
We need a holistic approach, I agree. But you see, that is, I mean, you have to do it for the whole universities. How does a university get a charter? Do they need a certain number of professors? Do they need a certain number of lecturers? What is the research output? I mean,
but I thought universities...
You see, nowadays, a lecturer teaches at Nairobi University, he flies to Mombasa in the evening, then the next day he's in Kisumu. I mean, that's not the way to teach universities.
But there is an institution in the university called the Senate. And the Senate is not made of university teachers or professors. They are the ones who are responsible for the academic and the appointments and that quality control of the university. Are you saying the Senate
No. There's a crisis of higher education in this country. I mean, I don't know how the Senate is appointed, but there's a crisis. Look at
when you ask
Strathmore. Look at Strathmore.
Yeah.
Strathmore now is becoming the best university in the country. They have the best faculty of law in there. I mean, private universities are being run better than public universities because private universities know that if they make a good name for themselves, they will attract good students who will pay very well. But public universities, because nowadays, you know, you appoint every kind of person as a... I was seeing even Vimal Shah was appointed Chancellor of University.
Vimal Shah can make a good
all this, everybody is appointed. How do you appoint?
I'm
making a point.
He runs a very successful company.
I don't think it's the people we have appointed as such.
Yeah.
You know about the Senate. The Senate would usually be heads of deans of faculties, and principals of colleges and so on and so forth, and who should be very intellectually and academically rigorous individuals. I think the problem here, Grand Mullah, is the commercialization of everything, education included, because some faculties are being told, departments are being told, if you don't make money for this university, then we are going to close you down. Should it be that way?
I agree with you. It's not commercialization, it's kioskinization. They are becoming like kiosks. University education is becoming like kiosks.
Yes.
You open branch in every town. That's a big problem. But you see, that's why we are saying the Ministry of Education, does it have a blueprint on how university education is run? If our university education was run proper, you know, it could have been one of the largest hard currency earners, like the way they do in Australia. Australia, I mean, higher education is huge. England, it's huge. Even America, it's huge. But you know, we don't have people who think at that level, because if they were thinking at that level, we will have had fewer universities, better quality control, paying even the lecturers better, world class, you know. You can do that, but not under the people who are running our university educations at this point in time. And you have seen even the issue of tribe nowadays. One tribe is controlling this university, another tribe is controlling it. You can't apply, for example, certain universities when you don't belong to that tribe that's in control. So how do you run university education on those lines? I mean, it's a banana situation.
When you are a lecturer in the university, you are very critical about judges. In fact, I remember at one time judges refused to see you, to hear you.
They made a big mistake. They regretted. Those who have refused to listen to my matters, they made the worst decision they ever made.
Now, it was the issue of corruption then. And then there was the Ringera Purge. And then there is now Mutunga Purge. But the other day, the Chief Justice was quoted as saying that he's going to have a lifestyle audit of people working in the judiciary. Apparently, it would appear corruption has crept back to the judiciary.
No, in a big way, in a big way. But you know, what do you do? This country, everybody is corrupt. We are a society that's corrupt. Well,
I'm not.
I'm not.
And I'm not.
You see, I've participated in various phases of judicial reforms in this country.
Yes.
And when we're recruiting for new judges under this new constitution, I mean, we try to do our best. We try to look for the best judges, like the Supreme Court, you know, the Court of Appeal. And let's be fair, the Supreme Court, in my view, before this crisis, was doing a wonderful job. You could not hear anything about corruption or anything. It's a court beyond any kind of reproach. The Court of Appeal has done wonderful. You know, the Court of Appeal now has been centralized. There's a court in Malindi, there's a court in Nyeri, there's a court in Kisumu, and there are 15 judges here in Nairobi. So they are doing very well, and you don't hear corruption a lot about that court. But where there is a crisis is the High Court. And corruption is there now in a big way. And unfortunately for me, and even for the country, it's not, you know, the older judges who have been accused. It's the judges we recruited under the new constitution, you know, young guys, young men and women. And that now has reached endemic proportion. You will see even, you know, agents who are collecting, auctioneers collecting money for judges. Crazy, all kind of things. But I disagree with the Chief Justice. You don't need an audit, lifestyle audit, because you will not catch anybody. I mean, third parties are holding all these things. What we
will find out where they live.
No, that will not help. That will not help.
What will help?
What will help?
Yes.
Is a scrutiny of their judgments. Because when I see a judgment,
yes,
when I read a judgment, I will know before I finish that.
Who will scrutinize?
Apai Koshida.
Yeah, senior. We've got a problem.
That's the job of the JSC. You see, there are many decisions that you will know that it's a monkey business. You know, right from the start, you'll just know, because you know there is if a judge is told to adjudicate and he says people live in the moon, he writes a judgment that's absurd. You will know that this judge is not normal. So the best way to catch is for the Kenyans to complain, which they are not doing well. You know, people don't complain, people gossip in this country. People will mourn in the bus that the judge has done this to me. But you need to complain. The GSC has a very robust procedure. When you complain and say that...
No, you complain to the
JC, yes, the JC, you complain to the JC.
The JC is unreachable.
No, it is.
Yeah?
You complain to the JC or go to the next court?
No. Yeah. If you think that the case has been corrupted,
yes,
and you have evidence or something, because some of the things we hear, they are unbelievable.
You know...
They are unbelievable. Even for me as a lawyer who practices there, the things I'm hearing. And you know, when I was in the JC, I never used to practice, but now I'm back in the court. What I'm hearing about corruption in the judiciary, especially in the High Court, is unbelievable.
You know what the problem is?
Yes.
For me to complain, I need to use the services of an advocate.
You don't need a service. No, you don't need. You just write to the JC.
My letter will disappear there.
No.
They will not see it.
Trust me.
So after I have used an advocate, that advocate will be approached by the other side. And the cycles of corruption keep on feeding upon themselves.
I agree with you on the biggest factor in corruption in the judiciary actually is lawyers. That is the biggest factor. And until the Law Society addresses that issue, whether the Chief Justice carries an audit, whether the Chief Justice carries a review, it will not help. Because the people who make the approach to the judge are lawyers. And these lawyers are all known. They are about 20, 30. And no matter how good judge you bring, you know, these are lawyers who cannot take your case without first reaching the judge. So unless you address that issue, unless you cut that link, if you cut that link of lawyers, when you have a case, you don't know even the judge, you don't know how to go. But it is the lawyer, because either the judge was his classmate or he knows, he's the one who will first send the signal.
Yes.
So let us address corruption within the legal profession. There are lawyers. Everybody in the profession knows who these lawyers are. Everybody knows. But nobody wants to address this.
I don't understand, because the Law Society itself, the other day they said they have removed lawyers from practice. They have disciplinary, but you know that's giving. And when you give, there is no complainant except the victim.
Yes, and there are many victims in this country, you know. There are many victims of corruption in this country. Many people are losing their houses. People are losing their husbands and wives. And corruption.
There's a certain elitist aura around the whole legal profession. And it's a kind of intimidating. So that when people would want to enjoy legal services, they are afraid in the first place. I think there's need to demystify.
No, actually, I mean, that you can say of countries like England, where the legal profession comes from, you know, the upper echelon of society. But in Kenya, 90% of lawyers are from peasant background. You know, people from the villages.
Then they graduate into the elite cadres.
And the good thing about this country now is that we are almost having 10,000 lawyers, which is a record. It's only 3 countries that have larger numbers in Africa: Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. Kenya is the 4th. So, and the good thing about devolution is now lawyers are going back to the counties, because even there's enough money there to sustain lawyers. So you will get any kind of lawyers in this town. There are so many lawyers, some good, some bad, some average, some this. So legal profession for the first time is becoming accessible. We have enough lawyers in this country. The prices are not very friendly. There is something for everybody. You can afford.
Are not very pocket friendly.
Yeah, they are very pocket friendly actually. If you want a top lawyer,
yes,
there's a certain category of lawyers. If you want a good average lawyer, they are there. Things are not bad. Access to justice is there, but we need to ensure that people play according to the rules, both as lawyers and as judges.
How do we insulate judges from those corrupt lawyers?
You see, I mean, there are many judges, to be fair. There are many judges who are not corrupt. There are many judges who are doing excellent job. I am so proud of some, because they put a lot of effort. You know, the good thing is that everybody in the legal profession knows who is the good judge, who is the average judge, and who is the corrupt judge. We all know. And there are many judges who are excellent, doing very good job, you know, a decent, honest job in the court. But you know, the JC has taken good care of the judges. Their salaries are very good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're from 600,000, I think, in the High Court to about 1.1 million.
With the cars
Supreme
and
Court.
whatever.
They have good allowances. They have good cars. They have good security. We used to give them some friendly laws, So they're not that bad off. What we need to do is that I think the JSC, for example, during promotion have to look at who is a good judge, who is a bad judge, and reward the good judge.
Do you need another vetting of the new ones, the ones who are saying the High Court? Can we?
No. We don't need vetting. We don't need vetting, but we need the JSC now to operationalize proper. It is procedure for disciplining judges, and for Kenyans also, like you and people who are watching us, to come forward every time they are messed up in the courts. So Kenyans must be proactive. When you are proactive, everybody knows that if you mess with me, if you are unfair in my case, then I will go and fight for the JSC.
I think there's a role for civil society.
Absolutely.
In this particular context. And I think we still also have a problem, this one where we have different layers of the lower cadre of lawyers, the next level, the third level. Because if I come in junior league, League Ndogo, and somebody else is coming in League Kubwa, Premier League, I'm in trouble.
The good thing in this country is that, unlike some other countries, some countries, you can't play in the league you want as a lawyer. But here we allow, someone from Mashanani to appear in the Supreme Court and try to argue. But in some countries, you are not allowed. You have to be maybe 20, 30 years of practice before you can argue a case in the Supreme Court. In Uganda, even in Uganda, when you are admitted as a lawyer, you cannot appear in the High Court for 3 years. You must go to the magistrate school, learn how these things are done.
Why can't we do that here?
We are very litigious. I mean, every time someone introduces that, people go to court and this. But I think it will come. I mean, it's inevitable. It will come that, for example, you must have this kind of years before you can practice in this kind of court. And I think the Supreme Court was 7 years. They changed it, but I'm told they are returning back. They are bringing back that provision that you must be at least 10 years before you appear in the Supreme Court. And I think that will be very good. But let me tell you one thing. This issue of corruption, theft, inefficiency, it's part of the broader society. You can't have an efficient judiciary when everybody else is inefficient. It's part of the society. So we need a holistic audit of the whole country. It's when the executive is corruption-free, when the legislature is corruption-free, when the civil service is corruption-free, that the judiciary will be corruption-free. But you don't expect, a small portion of the country to be isolated. We are Kenyans.
It should actually take the lead.
It should take the lead. It should take the lead. But you have to admit that Kenyans are corrupt generally.
Yes.
Corruption is tolerated in this country. It's seen as a virtue, not a vice. It is something. So the judge also, when he sees his neighbor.
So some institutions must be the ethical and moral pillar of this society.
It is true. I'm saying there are many judges who are playing that role. Yes. There are many judges who are doing a commendable job.
And we are tolerating the bad ones.
But the bad ones are taking advantage of the broader outlay in the country.
You see, Ahmednasir, why would you want to appear before a judge who, in the best of your knowledge and persuasion, is corrupt?
What do? He's on the course list. We have a course list. My case. I don't decide where my case is.
You already know the outcome.
Yes. But you see, the good thing is we try to fight out this thing.
Yes.
And we have made a lot of progress in this country. But we are not perfect yet. Yes.
What about the criminal justice system, the prosecutions and the arrest and the police and the DPP?
Actually, what we were talking about was the civil or the commercial.
Exactly.
The criminal justice system has long broken down. Maybe 10 years ago. Maybe even 15 years ago.
But you appointed
lawyers.
But you appointed a DPP who is supposed to be.
Let us leave the DPP for a while. Do you know that lawyers don't do criminal cases? I don't do criminal cases.
There used to be Motiano.
Yes, but 90% of lawyers don't do criminal cases.
Why?
Because the criminal justice sector, as far as the judiciary is concerned, is broken down. It doesn't work. I will make, for example, if I go to Kibera today and argue a case, I will make no sense because the magistrate, the prosecutor, they have cartels. They will tell the accused person, come, why are you paying Ahmed this amount of money? Are you crazy? Half will be enough for us. So, you see, I can't guarantee the result. That is why the last 15, 20 years, lawyers don't do criminal cases. Maybe something like 2% of lawyers do criminal cases in Nairobi. We just do commercial or civil matters or constitutional matters, because the criminal sector, the criminal justice sector is broken down. It is not there. And that is why even the DPP, you know, no matter how good his people are, they can't get conviction in the criminal courts.
That takes us back to where we began, that all is not well in the judiciary.
Yes, but you see, we have to categorize which part of the judiciary is working and which part is not working. I can tell you this for free, that the magistrate courts, insofar as the criminal cases are concerned,
yes,
is the Wild West. There is no law.
So should we give up completely?
No, but we have given up. I'm surprised that you don't know that we have given up.
Yeah?
Yes.
So what happened to people who are committed in court because of murder, they are raped, whatever, all these criminals? Why are they going to get justice? But lawyers are not going to represent them.
No, but you need to do an analysis. For example, what is the conviction? What's the conviction rate in these courts? It's almost zero.
There's a lot of what I would like to call atrophy of matters of criminal justice. Every so often there's this big story. Sometimes it's about drugs, it's about murder, it's about rape, and they tend just to disappear in some swamp somewhere. No conclusion. What really happened?
I call it actually the episodic reaction of Kenyans. Because of an episode that grieves us, you know, we try to address it. But nobody looks into how has that case ended up. Yes. Because in many countries, when a criminal case comes, there's something called a schedule. That this case will be heard in 2 weeks. And it must be heard in 2 weeks. And they do it, even in South Africa, they do that. Here you don't do it. When the case is sensitive, everybody will ensure that this case should not be heard quickly. So you delay it. After 2-3 years, it disappears. The magistrate will just say that there was no case to answer and it's over. But actually, the thing that should worry this government, but that is if it is concerned about anything, is how does the justice sector works? How are criminals treated? Why are criminals not convicted? Why there is the corruption in the magistracy is we can't even talk about it. It's the norm. It's the the legal tender.
So we should just give up.
We have tried. What can we do?
So if suppose you appointed DPP, what did you do? If they give you a job as a DPP?
No, the DPP, to his credit, I mean, he does very good. He brings cases, you know. He makes, you know, the good thing about the DPP now is that he makes the decision who should be charged and who should not be charged. Previously, that was the case. The police used to do that. Now he's the one who does it. So every file that's investigated in this country becomes to the DPP. And Tobiko, to his credit, always makes a decision that take these guys to court immediately. But Tobiko does not control the court.
But he has prosecutors there.
Yes, he has prosecutors. They are lawyers like me. Yes, they are lawyers like me.
Yes.
So the magistrate will listen to this case and they will dilly-dally. The prosecutors, DPP's lawyers are just like us. People will laugh at them because deals will be struck somewhere. The thing to do is how do we address the magistracy problem in this country? That's the problem.
And we are looking up to you. You see, it's all right for me as a
when you talk like it's very depressing hearing you
to kind of get despondent. But you people within the legal fraternity, you must provide the way out of this.
No, but you see, I mean, I'm a lawyer of some reputation.
Yes, not just of some reputation.
I know. I go to court, for example. I go to a court in, assume, for example, I go to Nyeri. I don't know the Nyeri dynamics, but before I go, I do my work. How is this? How is this? When I do a case, I expect that the chance of success is this much. Then I argue my case expecting that. Then the judge will go completely different. Sometimes I say that, you know, if this can happen to senior lawyers, imagine the small lawyer, you know, the Ligindogo.
Yeah, Ligindogo.
Who goes to that court. You want to get justice. You want to get justice. That's why we are saying that there is a lot that needs to be done. I go to, for example, I go to a court. I went to a court somewhere. Then, you know, the chance of me losing was like 5%. Then the judge completely goes out of this. Then later on I investigate, I say, what kind of a judge is this? Then I'm told, oh, is this an auctioneer that receives money, this one receives money. It's like a market.
So what did you do for your client?
You have to, of course you appealed, but the other option is for you to complain and say the JSC, you know, the only way this guy did this was because there was corruption. But we need to be proactive.
But in your case, was that judge or magistrate punished? Because you're telling me, as an ordinary Mwananchi, to want to complain to the JSC. You, as a lawyer, go to the same magistrate or judge.
No, actually, let me tell you, we are complaining a lot to the JSC now.
And we are not getting anywhere. So
we are complaining a lot to the JSC. But we need to complain more. Kenyans need to complain more. If we don't complain, you will be slaughtered in silence.
Yeah, but we are also seeing
good to cry, you know,
high incidence of the Wananchi deciding that I'll sort out this matter myself. Yeah? There's no need to go to court because there will be no justice. So let me just sort it out myself.
Yes, I mean that's one other symptom of a broken down system. I used to like the government of Kibaki because Kibaki was very proactive in terms of the justice sector. Some of the most radical reforms when we were pushing through, he was very supportive, because any country that wants to move forward, if you want to, for example, improve your economy, if you want to improve your security, you must have an efficient justice system. And that is something this government does not understand. If you want, for example, the insecurity in this country to be addressed, you must know that the thief who has broken, the robber who has robbed someone, will be taken through the justice system and will be convicted or acquitted on the strength of the evidence. But if you don't have a system that works up, that doesn't have, you know, any conscious feeling about that, then this is a government that is destined to fail. The substrata, the foundation of the modern state is security, law and order. And who maintains law and order? The justice sector. You know, how do the police work? For example, do we know how the CID works in this country? No, we don't. I mean, the CID only works when you complain, you pull strings. But you know, the CID, for example, if an ordinary man takes a complaint, nobody will investigate his complaint. Nobody. Nobody.
And there is also mounting defiance of court orders. And one starts wondering where this is going to leave us.
When you undermine the authority of the court, you undermine the authority of the state. That's what people don't understand. Because the judiciary is a very important component of the state. If the orders of the courts are defied, then you won't have a government that will function, because law and order will break down. If law and order breaks down, everything will be washed away. So, for example, let me ask you, I mean, the last 3 years of Kibaki, the budget of the judiciary was always being increased by 50 to 100%. This government, since Uhuru and Ruto came back, the 3 years, every year the budget of the judiciary was being decreased between 20 to 30%. So, you know, the government takes a very narrow view of the judiciary. You know, like there's a time, you remember the time Parliament said that there's a ruling they delivered. For delivering that ruling, we deduct 1 billion. Imagine a Parliament that makes that decision just because the judiciary has made a ruling against it. Such a myopic thinking shows that these are people who don't know what they're doing. While Kibaki was saying that because the judiciary is implementing a new constitution, we need to increase its budget 20, 30, 40, 50%, actually 100% in certain instances. So until, you know, the people who run this government thinks and appreciate the importance of not just the judiciary, but even the police, you know, the police investigators, the DPP, the anti-corruption. I mean, you need such a holistic, you need people who think wide. Yes. You think people who need, I mean, far.
Thank you very much, Bana.
Asante sana. Asante sana. Thank you very much.
It is very depressing listening to you, but what do we do?
But it's not him, it's the reality.
Let's go to the music and find out whether our spirits can be a little bit uplifted.